Thanks everybody for coming. It's good to be back here. I mean, it's hard to believe when I see some of the faces here. I get some flashbacks for all the way back to the Cow Palace days and things like that. But as I say, we'll get caught up a little bit. This has been an interesting trip for my family because it's a bit of a closure for them. When we all came out here, my kids were, 7, 5, 3, and 1. And now all my grandkids are those ages, so it's a full circle and everything. But just want to, again, thank Hasso and the organization, because I think what I am is just a reflection of all sorts of different people in this organization. And you go back to Cow Palace days, you go back to coaches, trainers, staff, office people, and everything. So I think you all know how I feel about Mr. Gund, and none of us would be here without him. So to be up here to represent all the people in the last 25, 28, 30 years or whatever it is an honor that I take, can't even put into words. And so to be back here to do that and acknowledge that, I'm starting to, as I say, get some memories thinking of all the great players we've had that have come through this organization. Not just great players, but great people. And that includes, the Cow Palace days, the teams that made the first playoff run, all the way through to even the last couple of years, where it's been a challenge, with the COVID things that impacted everything and changed the world and the environment. But I'm so proud of all our players, and really been a privilege to work and be with all of them. So having said that, I'll open it up to you guys.
So Doug, as you look back, it's a great job. What are some of the key moments that really stand out to you? And Thornton Trade, that's it being one of them.
Excuse me. The first game in the Cow Palace was one. Another one that jumps out to me, because I went up to the top of the building at Levi Stadium to see 70,000 people watching hockey in here, Northern California, and I was actually, it's pretty emotional, because I was thinking of what Mr. Gund would think, being able to look down and see that. Going to the Cup Finals, obviously, because that's what it's all about, and that's what this organization ownership strives for, is to win, and that's we weren't able to accomplish that, but I'm not going to dismiss a lot of things that the players and coaches did accomplish here. Special moment for me, which was almost a miracle in a couple of ways, was the Vegas Game 7, and to see that game and how we came back, and I played in obviously Chicago Stadium, which is one of the loudest rinks in the world. SAP was the loudest I've ever heard a rink in 40 years. And if you were there and you felt it, a little side story, one of my best friends had a massive heart attack in overtime during that game. And 3 of the season ticket holders carried him up to the concourse, where paramedics worked on him for about 45 minutes they thought they lost him 3 times. I never got down to the dressing room after the game. I got to see him. So it was almost the emotions. It was an amazing night. In our building, the season ticket holders would carry somebody up to the concourse from the lower seats. Paramedics would work for 45 minutes. The blue coats surrounding. It was, and here is one of the greatest hockey games at the same time. So it was maybe a precursor to things that happen in life. I don't know, but it was that day and game certainly stood out in my mind for a lot of reasons.
Did your friend come out of that all right?
Well, he had a heart attack this past week. He did survive, and he came back, and he's one of our biggest fans in the Sharks organization. Good friend Gary Martin is his name, so he needs our thoughts and wishes with him right now.
And how has your health been in your life?
Everybody's gone through stuff in the last few years, so it's something that I'm not where I need to be. I know I've got some work ahead of me. I have tremendous empathy for people that deal with things that you need to be proactive and deal with. And I let some things slide, and I got to not a great place, I'll be honest with you. So I've got some work ahead of me. I've got great doctors, and we'll just leave it at that.
Is it fair to say that just the stresses of the work kind of maybe, or just you just were working a lot and maybe?
I think it go back. I think it's called life. The things that were on many different levels. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
What was your reaction when you heard the Sharks wanted to do this for you?
I don't look at it as if it's for me. I look at it again for that era. Maybe I represent all those different people, and I'll just say this: Mr. Gund, his love for the game, his love for this organization, his passion for life, and as I said, we wouldn't be here. This franchise wouldn't be here. So I think I'm representing a lot of people. The fact that it's me is humbling. It's beyond humbling, and for my family, that, as I say, when they came here the first year, and my wife, who was she just said, we're all in, let's go. And all the players and staff members that have families, it's a family commitment to do that. And so it's as much as for them to have closure too.
Just looking back on it, how long did you sort of wrestle with the decision about stepping away, and now that it's been a while, do you feel like that was the right thing?
Well, it was the right thing, and I don't want to go timelines or anything. I was probably a bad patient. I knew where I was at and where I was getting to, and I probably should have addressed it earlier. But it was, I don't look back. I mean, I'm very, very proud of the fact that Mike Greer, one of our former players, and is in the role. I think he'll do a great job. I'm a big supporter of his. So it was just, I think it was, for the reasons I mentioned before, it was the right time for me.
Just how hard has it been just the last year, just watching, especially last season, when I guess technically you're still in the role, just to watch the team struggle and maybe not feel like you could do what you used to be able to do to help them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great group of guys in there, and we knew there'd be an evolution after, Jumbo and Patty era, and you take a look at Tommy and Timo and Logan and guys stepping up. Every team in the league goes through that. We had a pretty good run, for a long period of time, and there's going to be a time you've got to kind of reset it and have people step up and do it. But I will just tell you, I think the COVID experience that this team went through was different than most other teams, having to be on the road and having to training camps and stuff. And I'll remember a meeting we had, I think it was in Colorado after most of the trip. I think, Scott, I don't know if you were there. And I could see a group that I was really worried about with just depression and the things that everybody was dealing with. So I give our guys a lot of credit for pushing through that. I really do. It was not an easy time.
So Doug, in your experience, where the Sharks are today, how long of a journey do you see for the again Stanley Cup contenders?
Well, in this league, you take a look at teams that have had to take a step back and reset. You certainly have to replenish. In all the years that we were going for it, we moved a lot of first-round picks to try and give our group a chance to win. We pay the price for that. I think the last couple of drafts, they've added some skill, and they've got some combination of size. You got to have a hybrid of things to be able to compete in this game today. So I don't think it's as far as people think, because it's a matter of getting the right people in key positions, getting some surprises. You want somebody to come out of left field and make the team and make a big difference sometimes. But in this league, if you get a plan, stick to it, and I think Mike has got a plan, this team will be back competing in the very near future.
What did you think of the hire of bringing in Mike, and have you guys been in touch here, just about life?
Yeah, immediately I called out to Mike, because again, when he came here, he did a heck of a job for us. I remember where we were sitting in the dressing room when you first walk in, first spot, and he just has a presence about him. But he's also, probably like me, he learned by osmosis, by being around good people. His brother obviously is doing a heck of a job. He was in New York with Chris Drury and that whole group. I think he's ready for it. I think he surrounded himself with some good people. But he's a good man, and I think this organization's in good hands.
He was kind of thrown into a very difficult spot right off the bat how did that, Ryan was obviously a family member with the Sharks. How do you sort of grasp what happened to him?
I look at, and this is where it's difficult, because I look at some people we've lost recently, and, whether it be the Richie Perez, whether it be the Tommy Woodcock, whether the Mush, I'm the wrong person to answer, because I don't understand when these things happen, and it's heartbreaking. Family members having to reach out to family members and break that news. I think we've all lost people in the last few years, and it never gets easier, and it never should, but when it's a young person completely out of left field, it's devastating.
We do one or two more to make happen.
What does it mean to you, Doug, that your 1000th game celebration was at the Cal Palace and the Sharks played the Blackhawks that night, a team you played for 14 years, and now, as we do this tonight, it's the Blackhawks again, and people in Chicago are going to be able to get to see this?
Well, I had such a great experience in Chicago, and you look back, talking about people you lost. Three of the biggest influences in my life were Stan Mikita, my first roommate, Keith Magnuson, Tony Esposito. These are people that influenced me as a person, as a man, and were there for me when I went through some tough times, when I lost my father, for example. So the fans in Chicago, all my kids were born in Chicago. I met my wife there. Playing an Original Six organization, it was fantastic, and the cast of players that I played with is endless. Whether it be a Troy Murray, who's inspiring, Dirk Graham, Dale Talon, Bob Murray, Denny Savard, Steve Larmer. The list goes on, and it's only really been the last couple of days I've been thinking about that. And it's to play for an Original Six team and then play for a brand new expansion team were two experiences that not everybody gets.
How much do you miss sort of the grind of the hockey season? And when you stepped down, I think you mentioned that you wanted to get back into it at some point. Is that still your hope?
My priority is to get my health all the way back. I got 7 grandkids that I want to be able to chase around. They're probably tougher to chase around than 23 players. I've always realized how important health is. That's been amplified a little bit the last year or so, and what truly is important, and I've got to get that back before I consider any other choices or activities, but I believe I'm going to get there. I do.
And have you seen Mike Greer go? From a player under you and then to the GM now. What are your experiences with him, and what are your parting words of wisdom to him as he's taken on the now?
Oh, just be himself, and realize what you know and what you don't know. The people that are really smart seem to ask the right questions, and he does. I was impressed with him as a player. Our conversations, what he took the job and what he said, he's very, I won't say methodical, but he has a plan, and he'll ask questions, and he's had a lot of experiential learning too, there's no doubt. And I said it's in his family, but he's just the way he played, the way he trained, the way he carried himself. I think that sets a pretty good standard for a lot of people.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
A lot of people out there wondering about you, worried about you. What are you comfortable saying about your diagnosis and your prognosis?
I'm in good hands. I think I'm in a better place than I was 10, 11 months ago, and I've got to be a better patient. That's what I keep getting told. So, but it was concerning. But I feel like there's lots of light at the end of the tunnel.